Welcome back, full review to Gearshift Hub, where today we dive deep into a machine that blends old-school British soul with modern engineering precision, the 2026 Norton Commando. If you've been craving a motorcycle that feels handcrafted, iconic, and unapologetically mechanical in a world of increasingly digitalized bikes, then you're going to want to stick around. This full review unpacks everything: the design, performance, features, price, street behavior, rider impressions, and the unique charm that sets the 2026 Commando apart. Grab your helmet, settle in, and let's get rolling. The Norton Commando name has always carried weight, a heritage, craftsmanship, and that unmistakable silhouette that defined British motorcycling for decades. For 2026, Norton leans even harder into this heritage, while finally refining the modern reboot into something that feels truly cohesive. The first thing you'll notice is that the bike looks unmistakably like a Commando. Long tank, pronounced knee indents, wide set bars, a visible engine that isn't buried behind plastic, and the kind of stance that evokes simple, analog motorcycling. But what puts the 2026 version in a league of its own is the incredible attention to detail. The tank has been reshaped slightly for improved ergonomics, with a narrower rear section to better accommodate riders of different sizes. The paint options have taken a dramatic leap forward: a deep candy reds, metallic greens, matte graphite, and a classic black with gold pinstripe scheme that feels straight out of a museum but somehow modern. Norton has introduced a new ceramic-coated engine finish that resists heat fade and wear a small touch. Big difference for longevity. And the polished aluminum components aren't just decorative, many are machined in-house, giving the bike a boutique feel you rarely encounter in mainstream production motorcycles. Ergonomically, the Commando is deliberately neutral. You're slightly leaned forward but not aggressively. The seat height remains accessible, and the saddle's been reworked with denser foam and a leather finish that genuinely feels premium. The wide handlebars contribute to excellent low-speed maneuverability, making this a bike that's just as comfortable slicing through city traffic as it is cruising country roads. Under the tank sits the familiar, charismatic 961cc air and oil-cooled parallel twin, but Norton has refined it for 2026. It's smoother, cleaner, and more responsive in the mid-range. It produces a claimed 88 horsepower and about 80 pounds-feet of torque, figures that might not blow away spec sheet chasers but feel perfectly tuned for real-world riding. What makes this bike stand out is the sensation. You feel every pulse, every vibration, every throttle input. It's the opposite of sterile. Norton hasn't tried to hide the engine's natural movement. They've embraced it, tuned it, and made it part of the character. Power delivery is linear, with a strong mid-range that makes overtaking effortless. The 6-speed gearbox has been retuned for smoother shifts, with a lighter clutch pull that makes long rides more comfortable. The fueling has been significantly improved. Gone are the jerky low-speed behaviors of earlier models. The bike now feels composed both at low revs and on longer highway stretches. Chassis improvements for 2026 also make a notable difference. Norton uses a hand-welded tubular steel frame, and it feels incredibly rigid without sacrificing comfort. The Öhlins suspension, fully adjustable at both ends, absorbs bumps with elegance while keeping the bike planted in corners. In spirited riding, the Commando tucks into turns confidently, with predictable feedback and minimal frame flex. The Brembo braking setup remains top tier. Dual front discs with radial calipers provide strong stopping power, supported by a lightweight rear disc with excellent modulation. ABS is standard, but traction control remains optional, another nod to riders who prefer a purer experience. One of the standout features for this year is Norton's updated electronics suite. It's still intentionally minimal. This isn't a bike plastered with screens and layers of menus. Instead, you get a small TFT display blended with classic analog-style cues. It shows essentials: speed, gear position, fuel, trip, and optional ride mod without overwhelming the cockpit. Bluetooth connectivity is present but not shoved in your face. Norton understands the demographic here: riders who appreciate simplicity but welcome modern convenience when it doesn't detract from the experience. And speaking of experience, the sound deserves its own spotlight. The 2026 Commando's exhaust note is rich, throaty, and full of classic British character. At idle, it has a mellow burble. At higher revs, it releases a crisp, mechanical growl. Norton has engineered the system to meet modern noise regulations without losing the signature sound that Commando fans love. It's the kind of soundtrack that makes even short rides memorable. The riding experience overall is a blend of old and new that Norton seems to have finally mastered. This isn't a bike that competes with modern sport machines or tech-heavy cruisers. It's a machine you ride for the joy of riding, a reminder of why motorcycles became cultural icons in the first place. On twisty back roads, the Commando feels nimble and engaging. On highways, it's stable and comfortable. In the city, it's manageable, cool running, and stylish enough to turn heads at every stoplight. Now, let's talk price. The 2026 Norton Commando comes in at around $22,500, depending on the configuration and optional features like heated grips, upgraded seat, or alternate paint schemes. It's undeniably a premium motorcycle. But it's not trying to be a mass-market machine. You're paying for craftsmanship, exclusivity, hand-built quality, and that unmistakable Norton heritage. Every weld, every component, every polished part feels intentional. If you're someone who values meticulous design and mechanical artistry, the price becomes easier to justify. What makes the 2026 Norton Commando truly stand out are its unique selling points, the things that separate it from every other retro modern motorcycle on the market. First, its authenticity. While many brands recreate the past with heavy modern influence, Norton sticks to the essence of what made the Commando legendary. Second, its handcrafted nature. Very few bikes in this segment are assembled with as much manual work and in-house production as the Norton lineup. Third, its riding character. In an era where engines are becoming increasingly muted and software handles most of the riding, the Commando offers a tactile, analog, visceral experience that's getting harder to find. It's also one of the few motorcycles where buyers aren't simply purchasing performance numbers, they're buying an identity, a piece of British motorcycling history, and a machine that feels like a collector's item right out of the showroom. In closing, the 2026 Norton Commando isn't for every Nia, and that's precisely its strength. It's for riders who appreciate the craftsmanship of a bygone era but don't want to give up modern reliability. It's for those who want a motorcycle that looks as good parked as it feels in motion. And most importantly, it's for riders who want an emotional connection with their machine. That wraps up our deep dive into the 2026 Norton Commando. If you enjoyed this full review, hit that like button, subscribe to Gearshift Hub, and drop a comment about what bike you want us to break down next. Until then, ride safe, ride smart, and keep the passion alive.